Hey guys, this video is going to cover using a new script which is going to help you use the rig that we've designed, or that I designed for class. The video will be cut up into a couple sections. Each section will cover each of the tabs that's in the control. This first section is just going to be showing you the lines of script that you need to type into your shelf button to get the script to run once you've put it in your scripts folder. That is something that we've covered in a different video, so if you need to review that, please boot up that video. These are the lines of script that if you add them into your shelf button, you should get your script to call up pretty easily. You can pause the video here, go ahead and copy that down, and then resume it once you're ready. Okay. Now that you have your script button up here and ready to go, if you click it, it should bring up this window here which says rig functions. The whole thing is designed around selecting a master controller, the main control of whatever rig you want to control or have extra functionality for, and then just clicking this button to set it, and now these two are connected. So all the functionality that's in these tabs is now only going to affect this character. But at any time you could select a different main control and click that to be the one to be affected. So if you had multiple characters in your scene, you could use this same control set of functions to control all of them. All right, so in this second part, this is basically covering a lot of things that you probably are already familiar with. I just went ahead and put all this functionality in the window, so it's no longer hidden in this rig here. The first thing that you'll probably recognize is duplicating the quick select controls, which currently are on the main control. The one downfall of this is that it's tied to your perspective camera. So if you were to, for example, be in one of your orthographic views in the front, you no longer have access to that quick select set. So now that I've kind of put this here in its own little window, it's always going to be available to you no matter what view you're currently in. Also, I added the quick switching between the IK and the FK control methods for the arms and the legs so that you don't accidentally select them as you're clicking around on your rig. I found myself found that I did this myself quite often, so I thought this might be something that you want. You don't have to use these. Everything still works as exactly as it used to. This just might be a little bit easier. So if you're clicking back and forth, everything still works the same as it previously was. Okay, well, the next tab is dedicated to helping you pose your character a little bit more easily. So it is kind of using some of the mirroring logic that I had previously made for that more simple tool, but I've added in a couple more bells and whistles so that you have a little more customization. So you still have the ability to mirror completely whatever your character is currently, whatever pose you're currently in. Right now, if you, it works off of selection. So whatever controls are actually no, I take that back. It works off of these check marks here. So if all of these are turned off and you were to hit mirror, nothing would happen. If all of them are turned on, then it's going to mirror the entire body. And you can do little subsets of each of them. If you only want to mirror the arms and the body, you can just select arms and body and hit mirror, and it will just do that part of the rig. So then the other two buttons are matching. So this is very useful for things even beyond doing kind of cycle animation, where you might want to just pose up one side of your character very carefully and then bring that over to the other side. So I use this a lot with hands, where I'll pose one hand in a position and then I'll just match it over to the other side. So if hands and arms are selected and I hit match left, it puts both of the arms in the same position. Just like it would put match right, it would put both of the arms in the same position, matching the right arm. Great. The bottom button is a little bit, I guess, more abstract, but also very useful for creating new keyframes to blend between two that you might have spent a lot of time working on. So, for example, if you have your down pose here and you have your up pose here, you want to maybe make one in the middle that's some combination of the two. So using under the edit pose here, this thing called breakdown, you can create a new keyframe, which basically does a blend between whatever the key pose before and after where the current time slider is. So where my time is right now, it's going to try and create some kind of blend between frame 19 and frame 29. And this slider here, where it says keyframe blend amount, will skew it towards one or the other. So if I push it all the way to the left, it's going to be very, very similar to frame 19. And if I push it all the way to the right, it would be very similar to frame 29. But I'll do it right about halfway, so it'll be a 50-50 blend between the two. So if I hit breakdown, it goes ahead and cooks, and then so this new frame 24 is basically halfway between 29 and 19. So this is really an easy way to do full body kind of keyframe positioning, and maybe just get things in a close-ish position, and you can still go in and modify things after that. Okay, moving on to the fourth tab. It's about saving and loading poses between rigs and also just within your scene. So how this tab works is whatever control is selected, it will save that as a kind of as a position. So if I come into my select menu and I go ahead and select the entire body, this would save the position of all the current controls. So if I just go ahead and call this maybe pose 1 and enter and then click the add button, you can see it's been moved from the name pose down to my saved poses. So anytime when I'm on my scrubbing around on the timeline, I can select pose 1 and just say set, and it'll put all the controls in that position. So you don't have to do the entire rig, and sometimes it's nice to go ahead and maybe save just the position of the hand, for example. So if I were to have selected my left hand here, and maybe this is some kind of pose that I want to keep for some reason, I can come in and name it maybe left hand 1. Go ahead and add it. So then at any time, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and set it to pose 1. So you can see that left hand is in this pose. And then if I go ahead and click left hand 1 and say set, it puts it in that. So this is a nice way of basically you could save like a closed fist position, a pointing position, a relaxed hand position, and just have those as easily positionable presets for your character. And the one thing you might be thinking is, well, once I close this tool, they're all going to go away. And that's true, but these two buttons can help you with that. So if I didn't have anything in here currently, and I had wanted to bring in maybe some poses from another project. So previously I've exported some poses from a different rig, and I've just put them on my desktop, and I called them pat poses. So I can select that file and hit open, and you can see that it basically brings in this big list of stuff. Neutral is at the top, and so if I select it and hit set, you can see that I've got it all set up already. So what you could actually do is in your animations, if you want to keep using this rig or save positions from one rig to another, you can basically set up a whole bunch of poses, export them out, and then import them back in later. So you get to basically save on a lot of work and transfer it between Maya projects a little more easily. All right, the fourth tab is actually one that these are some old scripts that I felt I should add in just because it's nice to have them all in the same place. This is mostly for Unity work and exporting characters out of Maya into Unity, or exporting animations out of Maya into Unity, which is kind of two separate operations. So you don't really need to worry about the export tab. I can show you how it works at another time, but for this class I don't think we'll be using it. The final tab is actually, I think you guys will find it useful. Since I've spent a lot of time talking about the graph editor and how it can be really helpful for animation, I thought I'd make a tool to help you using the graph editor a little bit easier. Right now, if you, for example, if I have this, this foot control, and it's meant to kind of go back and forth, like you can see on here, it's going back at an even rate, and then you want it to keep going back at an even rate. So here, maybe I want this foot to go back all the way to there at an even clip. How we were doing that previously is going into kind of the Z channel and then trying to add in a keyframe maybe every 2 frames by right-clicking on it, saying Insert Key, spacing it as best we can, you know, and going about it that way. So that is, you know, that's all well and good, and it's good practice, but it's definitely a little slow. So I thought making something that automates that process, since as long as you understand what's going on, you know, you don't have to keep doing the same thing over and over. So if I select the foot control, and here's a section of keyframes where maybe I want this to go from here all the way to here in an even fashion. So if I click the Extras tab and I select both of these keyframes together by selecting one, holding Shift, and selecting the other, I have a couple options on making new keyframes on the 2s. So I can make them in a linear fashion. So if I just click the button, it will make them and evenly space them out like that. So that's really good for kind of walk cycles where you want it to be an even speed. If in fact you wanted it a little differently, maybe it's returning back to the front, you can choose to use one kind of an ease. So an ease in would start slow and then go fast, and an ease out would start fast and then go slow. So if I were to also adjust this slider, this would be the amount of ease. So this is not very much, and then this is kind of a more extreme ease. So if I put it about halfway and then clicked ease in, you can see how the shape is now different, where it goes slow, a little bit faster, and then much faster, and then you're finally there. And then ease out is kind of the opposite, where it goes quickly, a little less quickly, and then not so much, and then you're finally there. So these are kind of 3 buttons that, working with the graph editor and selecting 2 keyframes, you're able to add in multiple frames all at the same time. And you know, I'll go ahead and do a quick demo just so you can see that, you know, you can do it over tons of keyframes even, where, so here's 36 keyframes. If I were to select the start and the end and just click linear, you can see it makes a nice even stair step, just like it makes an ease in or an ease out. So it doesn't matter how many frames it is, just as long as you have 2 frames selected, it will try and input frames on the 2s between there in whatever fashion you've said. The final button in the Extras tab will just turn all of the keyframes on the IK/FK control to stepped. So if they had accidentally gotten switched to auto, then you might see some weird behavior where it's blending between the 2 control schemes of IK and FK on the legs or the arms. So if you just click that button, it'll go ahead and clean that up. You may or may not find this useful, and if you need more explanation on what this is, just let me know. All right, well, I hope this tool is going to help you as you work on your final project with multiple characters. And if you find any strange behavior or any additional requests for features, please let me know, and just write it up in an email, or you can, I guess at this point, just write it up in an email. I'm not going to be seeing you in person very often. Okay, well, thank you.